Hello there, Surfrom17 once again. This is a rather belated channel update. I've been meaning to do this for so long, and it's taken me far too long to keep you updated, and I apologise for forgetting and for getting busy and for getting lazy and all the other things you want to say. I just never managed to fit the time in, but I've just had some time away from the channel, and it's allocated me a lot of resources to think about, you know, what's been happening, what we're doing, and what's coming forward in the next few weeks, few months, and maybe years, depending on how it goes. So this is a channel update, folks. The last one was in February, so as you can tell, we're now in May. It's been a while. There's shit's gone down, which we're going to go through, and if you've never watched one of my channel updates before, you might be new, because my channel has had, you know, a nice bit of attention thanks to some of the new projects. I try to be as honest with you as I can. It might be a little boring if you're not into the more business end side of YouTube or behind the scenes. If you want to just look at it as, you know, an entertainer on television where you want to see the show, you don't want to understand how it works, you're not interested in the you know, the mechanics of the trick, you just enjoy the magician, then you probably might, you know, just want to skip this video. But for everybody else who's interested in what's coming and what's happening and the results of things that have gone on, then this is the perfect place to start for you. So before I do anything, I am on Patreon, and there are so many kind people that I need to voice here and thank for their support. So I'm going to do this at the beginning, and if you're not into listening about Patreon or anything like that, then feel free to skip ahead, guys, because I won't dwell too long, but these people really do need to have the reciprocity that they deserve, because they didn't have to do what they're doing, but they're choosing to do so because they believe in it, because they enjoy it, and because they want to support me, which is the most profound and insane notion of anything. Like, it's, you know, it's like thinking about gravity before we knew what gravity was. It's just bizarre, but here we are, and I've got a list of things here, so I do apologise my microphone being quite close to my mouse. My setup is quite ghetto. We like it this way until we get our own office, and then shit gets real fancy, but as it stands, we'll just Burger King the shit out of this for the moment. So if I forget your name, I do apologise. I forget most things, it's just how it works. But in no particular order, I'm going to go through some names of people who've been going out of their way to support the channel, and I'd just like to thank everybody right now who supports the channel in their own way. That is amazing, guys. If you watch the videos, if you're listening right now, if you're commenting, if you're thumbing up, if you're telling your friends, if you're doing any of those activities, I'm speechless. I can't ask for more. You know, you are my perfect demographic, and I know it sounds almost cheap, doesn't it? Because words are a commodity that we take for granted. Words are often wasted. Like, I'm a guy who has a style on YouTube where I try to fill every moment of the video with commentary, and you know, I piss words down the drain because I feel like I need to get rid of those silences and have a more, you know, cohesive vision of what I want it to be. And some people hate it, some people love it. I'm kind of indifferent. I do annoy myself and I get sick of my own voice, but who doesn't, you know? It's just one of those things. But gratitude is something that can always come off as quite trite and quite forced and not very genuine. Like, there's a lot of falsity and facades on YouTube, and as much as I would love to be that kind of person and reap the rewards of it, I'm never going to be that guy. I'm always going to be the guy who's to the point, who says it as I think it to be, which is not necessarily right, true, or something you should believe, but it's just out there in the ether for you to appraise it as you should. And just a big fucking thank you. Like, I didn't have to swear, but I chose to, because I used the word to try and give it some edification, to build it up, to make you realise just what you do is insane. Like, you're thinking, like, shut up, Chris, you're doing all this and this. No. You right now, I'm pointing at you with one finger. You're awesome. I can't even put it into words. There aren't words to say what it means to have somebody that believes in you. Like, it's profoundly moving, and it's awesome, and people are far too eager to just be like, oh, it's awesome, let's move on to the next part where I get money, or, oh, it's awesome, I want more, you know, just to live in that moment of just think about it. It's insane, it's silly, and I don't have words, so I'm not going to waste them or waste your time trying to make them, because they don't exist. So we're just going to say flaboing, and there we go. So a big thanks to Ramon, This guy just sent me a really nice message on Patreon. I've just picked it up because I have issues accessing Patreon, but we're not going to go into that because it gets me frustrated. But thank you, Ramon. It means a lot, buddy. We have Cody, who has pledged to my Patreon. Thanks a bunch, man. We have Jim, who has also pledged. Thank you kindly, sir. Charles, thank you, sir. Alexander, thank you, brother. Then we have a couple of different ones here who have not gone through the Patreon. They've gone through other means, and I'm just going to thank these now. So the first one we have is a guy called Remy Paul, and Remy Paul is just insane. He's he's incredibly generous. He's one of those people that will probably end up doing something really worthwhile in his life that actually helps other people, while all those selfish bastards are over here in the corner trying to collect our own Scrooge McDuck vaults worth of money so we can have a casual swim. This guy's going to be doing something great, because like every month or every other week I check my PayPal and I see this dude's name, and it's just like, Remy, the fuck are you doing, sir? Please keep your money. Please do something with it that makes you, that makes your life better. But if this is what that is, then that is amazing, and I'm eternally grateful, dude. So thank you very much. The next one is my resident Finnish subscriber, friend of mine. I'm terrible at pronouncing his name. He knows who he is. A little bit confusing, this one, because he's given to the channel before and supported it, which is fantastic and amazing, and I'm eternally grateful. But the most recent one was a confusing one, so I don't know, dude, if you did this by accident or what, but my PayPal said 73 pence, which is like £1 with the PayPal taking their cut from it. And it's not for me to say, oh, I don't take tuppence, it's gold or it's nothing at all. It's nothing like that. It's just, did you mean to do that, dude? Was that a mistake or something? Or because feel free to message me and I can get it sent back to you. I don't know if you meant to or what. It's just, it jumped out at me as being an odd number. But thank you anyway. Everything helps. It's so true. It's so trite, but it's one of those adages that's just really, really, appropriate. The next guy is Mateus. Mateus is another crazy person who I'm eternally grateful to, and just baffled beyond words, which for somebody that does have quite a florid vocabulary, that's something tricky to do to me, but it's just really touching and insane. This guy gave an incredible amount of money, and there aren't words, man. Thank you so much. It's just amazing to see that kind of stuff, and I thanked him on Twitter, which I often do for a lot of these, and if I don't spot you or I don't shout you out, it's not because I'm not grateful, guys. It's just because there's a lot of spam and bullshit when I'm trying to arrange these, that it's very easy to miss things, and I just hope that you never think that I'm ever ungrateful for something. Even if you do think I am, fuck you. But it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. The people who want to support me are obviously showing that they're willing to, and it's insane. Along with Caleb, another guy who does the same thing, who's often donating and sending money to the channel, keeping the engine moving. Such a big thank you to you, Caleb, dude. It means a lot, man. Then we have Daniel, another person who put forward to the channel. Thank you very much, sir. It means a lot, man. And then we have an old favourite, a guy called Simon, who is known as by the handle of Hobo Jesus. He's kind of the CEO of the channel because he's been there for quite a long time, and he's always pushing money our way to help things happen, and it's insane, it's amazing, and it's, I can't thank him enough. I managed to sit down and have a few beers with him over the weekend, which was great, getting to see him play some games, all that good stuff, but I'm going to talk about that later on a different video. Then we have James, so thank you kindly, James. Then we have Curtis, thank you too, brother. And then finally on my list, I have SDR, which I'm not too sure of this dude's name, but that's the first part of his name on Twitch. And this guy actually gave me like a few months of PlayStation Plus that I could do some PvP in Bloodborne, and which is an awesome thing. Like it's I am one of the tightest, most frugal people you'll ever find. I always try to make money go, or I always try and look at and appraise a situation where I think, can I do without? Can I live without? Can I somehow approach this in a different way and then, make it worth it, so that when I do make a purchase or when I do use money, it's always got a good reason behind it. So to see just this kind of generosity from people who have all the responsibilities I have and then some, it's just insane. So it's just, I'm using the same words and it fucking sucks, but it's tricky, guys, when you're just trying to say thank you. It really is. But this guy gave me the ability to play online, and unfortunately it did fuck up, but I'm still grateful. It's still awesome, and it's the gesture that counts. And just everybody who supports the channel, everybody who watches, everybody who's listening right now instead of being like, come on fucking hell, I want to see some gameplay, you know, everybody who has turned this into something that I never expected it to be. To you, I am so grateful. I was so naive when I started YouTube. I thought it'd be about the game. I really did. I never intended it to be about me. And it's become so much more the other way. Even though it's not to my wish, it's, you know, people are coming because we have this kind of bond and this interesting internet relationship of content, and I share these stories and I talk and we have things in common, and it's one of those very strange bonds that if you explained it to your mum and her generation, she'd probably be like, are you gay? Because she just wouldn't understand like the bromances and the, I don't know the word for a female bromance, like femance, I have no idea. We're just gonna run into like politically correct territory, so let's just not. But big thank you to everybody, big thank you to Patreon. A couple of things I need to mention about Patreon. When you pledge, I think it's $30, which is just insane, you get access to my unlisted videos, which is kind of a big deal and kind of a nightmare at the same time. And I get a few messages from the guys who have gone onto this scheme. Two of the names I just mentioned are actually people who have pledged towards that to get that access, and I need to figure out a way of doing it where I can make this function better. Because at this moment in time, it's working okay, but it's a double-sided sword. And it's one of those things where it's quite new, so I'm trying to get the best way of providing it. But as it stands, I'm having my playlist be unlisted because, of course, I don't want all the videos to go out at the same time, and if I have them in a playlist, it compromises my control over them. But at the same time, I need to get this content to these guys because they're paying for it, and as much as I would love to say I would never put, you know, like a paywall behind my videos, which I don't, because all these videos do go live eventually, but that's the distinction, you see. It's a long time sometimes, as you can ask these guys, like, there are people right now who have seen all of the Final Fantasy X playthrough, which is nearly 100 parts, and we're on, what, 50? So that's a bit of a distinction in videos. And whereas Final Fantasy X, it's easy to get that content there because it's very simple. I've got a playlist up and it's working for them. On some of the other ones that are a bit more complicated, it's not quite as easy to do. And it would be amazing if I could work out a system on YouTube, even though YouTube just doesn't help you at all with this kind of things, where I could automatically have a playlist set up where it automatically puts unlisted videos into it and updates them when they become unlisted and removes them, because that would be a perfect thing for these people, but it doesn't work that way, you see. So I'm looking at other ways of doing it, because what it's ended up doing is it's ended up having an effect on the channel, which I'm going to speak about in the channel section in a moment. But to those people that have pledged that amount, I want to just try and make it as clear as I possibly can that the unlisted video perk is one of those things that's completely random. There'll be times when there are no unlisted videos, so effectively you're paying to support me more than you're paying for something that you're getting back, which if that's an issue, feel free to stop it. You know, it's never been about, you know, give me the fucking money all the time. It's just, here's an option for the people who are just beyond kind and amazing. That's what it's always been. However, on the flip side, there'll be instances like right now where I have nearly like 70 videos or something daft collectively going down as I'm unlisting them, prepared, because I have a lot of projects running. And the thing that's frustrating is maybe 10% of those these guys haven't even had access to because I've not been able to do it because of the way that it's set up. So we're working on that. I appreciate everybody's patience, and for the guys who pledged for me to make videos for Shadow of the Colossus and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I still haven't got those games. I don't forget, folks. I am a man of my word. They will be made. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. That's all the thank yous. Thank everybody. Thank. And now we can move on to the stuff that people might be a little bit more interested in, even though that right there that we just did is the lifeblood of the channel. So YouTube, the crazy machine that it is. So far, the channel's been going really, really good. For me, this is a relative term, folks. I am not PewDiePie, I am not, you know, Rad Brad, I'm not these massive guys. I don't pull their numbers. But for the numbers that I'm used to seeing when I check my analytics, I'm really happy with what we're doing right now. For the last few weeks when I've been checking messages, it's been overwhelmingly positive, which is a great thing. Every so often you get a couple of silly buggers, or a couple of people who just don't like me or don't like my style. You're gonna get that, it's perfectly fine. I obviously have a troll who is doing trollish things, but my advice there, folks, just to ignore them. They want the attention, and that's what it's all about, and it doesn't bother me whatsoever, it doesn't affect my sleep, I don't care. You know, I learnt to ride my bike on concrete. I don't give a fuck what you say about me online. It's really that simple. But changes to the channel that are coming very shortly. I say very shortly, that is a lie. Soon. Best answer I can give you. Gives me wiggle room, still keeps you updated, you feel like you're in the know. A new intro and a new aesthetic. So, anybody who's been with me for a while, and I'm hoping that's everybody standing up right now being like, yes, I was there from the beginning, yes, I remember when we used to be able to smoke in here. And I'm hoping you're that person, but you might not be. You might be new, doesn't matter really, but back in the day, I started with what I called the red period, which, you know, can be misconstrued as a rather disgusting thing, but we're not going to go there because we're highbrow and we're going to keep the humour just above that level. But the red theme was a Kane and Lynch intro that I took from a bit of footage that I recorded when I first got my capture device, threw it into Adobe After Effects, and then I threw a title on it, Seraphim 17 Presents. That was my very first intro. Then, of course, I used music on the intros, which was copyrighted. It was from bands, and it was everything from, you know, eclectic, like folk bands to death metal, technical grind nonsense, you know, any kind of music that I thought was good. I'd put a little insert of a song I liked, and boom, I had a really good time doing that. Then I got partnered and that changed, but throughout the progression of the channel, the intro has changed. We had the red period, we then went on to the purple period, a lot of periods here. We then went on to the gold period, which was one of my favourites because I really, really enjoyed that intro. And then we had the green one, which was the Alan Wake from the American Nightmare. And now we're currently in the longest period that we've had, which is the pink one. And I really like the shocking pink. I couldn't tell you why, it's just one of those colours that really resonates with me because I love how I can use it with greys. A whole gradient of greys, whites and blacks, and I think it's just really, really striking. And normally, what I would do is I would change the colour, and I was thinking of like a blue, maybe like a sky blue and azure, something like that. But I want to keep the pink, and this will be unprecedented in my transition to a new style for the channel, just to freshen it up a little bit, because I've never kept the colour before, but I really, really, really like it. So what will be changing is the video, the intro at the beginning of the videos is going to be something different. And it's not going to be how I handled it last time. Last time I made a bunch of raws using plate footage from the Hitman game, Hitman Absolution, and then I put a couple up to show people and I asked people which ones they liked. And I set it up in such a way where I had a long intro, which was indulgent and violent and really rapidly edited, and I thought it was really, really fun. And what I would do is I would put that at the beginning of the very first video of a walkthrough, but because it was about 15 seconds long, that's a long time when you're watching a lot of videos to see, you know, all that kind of, even though I liked it a lot, but there's nothing worse than wanting to skip forward. We've all done it on TV shows, so there has to be like a good balance. So what I decided to do is I had two final edits. I had the extended edit, and then I had the shorter edit, and right now you've been seeing the shorter edit almost exclusively for about the last year. Every so often I'll pop out the other one, but for the most, you have seen Agent 47 walk towards the camera. You'll notice that it gradually fades into monochrome, and then at the back there is the flash, and then there is the title and everything. Well, the next one is going to be an excerpt from a cutscene in Bloodborne that I absolutely adore, that I think is visually striking, and I'm going to edit it in such an ambiguous way that you're going to hopefully not see too much, so that if you've never played the game before, you're not running into a direct spoiler, because it will be footage from an ending, which I know is a bad idea, and I did toss and turn with it, but the goddamn cinematography is too good. It's too good, guys, it really is, and it's just such a good shot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another copy of After Effects, because mine's on my laptop and my laptop is incredibly slow. I'm going to bang it in, I'm going to mess around with some fonts, I'm going to mess around with some visual designs, and I'm going to try and get something that, you know, that resonates with me. Nothing too complicated, nothing, you know, ridiculous, just to the point, you know, simple but interesting, and boom, we'll have something new to go at the beginning of the videos. And then that aesthetic will then carry on to Maybe some of the thumbnails, I might go with uniform thumbnails, I'm not too sure yet, or a uniform font and setup for thumbnails, and I'm going to change the banner and things. So we're just going to have a nice sprucing up, so that's something to look forward to. No promises on when it's happening, very busy right now and about to get much busier, but that's something to be thinking about. I just went on holiday, so when I've come back, I've just gone into the channel, I've just updated a ton of playlists because there is an issue while I was on holiday, and it's an issue that happens all the time on YouTube, unfortunately. So I've already mentioned that I do unlisted videos, and what this is for is I have a terrible internet connection. Whenever you see me unlist, 3 videos at the same time, that is not me uploading 3 videos at the same time. That is a lot of prep work to get to that point. And what I do is I will leave my computer on at night with videos uploading for a large period of time so that I can get a backlist of videos so that I can always have something going up. So you're never left without a video. It might not be the video series you want, it might not be one you're interested in, but there's always something going up for someone. And that is the way I've done it for a while. However, I've never had such a backlog as I have right now. And some of these videos are like 6 pages back in the log on my video manager. And what is happening, for some reason, I don't know why, it just happens, is when I'm unlisting them and I'm clicking on Google Plus, and I'm making them public so that you can watch them, because they've been on for so long, the part that triggers YouTube to notify my subscribers and to put it accurately on my video timetable thing, timeline on my profile page is not triggering. Whatever part of their algorithm or their computer that does that is not doing it. So all you're getting is one of the videos and then there's nothing else, even though in my tweet I'm saying, here's 3 videos, and people are like, well, where are the videos, Chris? And you can search the name of those videos and sometimes not find them, even though they're public. So I've got a couple of videos now that are sat with like 60 views, and I'm privileged at this moment in time where I put a video up and I don't get 60 views. I get generally a little bit more than that, so I know there's something wrong. And I monitored it while I was away, and there is something wrong. It's just not tripping, and it's something that's unique to my situation and to others who have approached YouTube in the way that I have. So it's a problem, and there are a few ways to try and remedy it, but the way that I'm hopefully going to try and fix this is through Twitter. And right now is my pledge to you to follow me on Twitter. And you might be thinking, oh god, here's another guy who wants us to follow him on another social media so he can spam us with a load of bullshit we don't want. Well, unfortunately, yes. On my Twitter, I post silly things. I often post just ridiculous things. Sometimes I don't post at all, and then I'll post 20 in the space of a minute. I'm a very erratic Twitter user. But the one thing that is consistent is I use it for the YouTube stuff, so I inform you of when I've unlisted the videos. And there's something that happens on YouTube that I wasn't too aware of until I watched a podcast from people who have way more experience than me and way higher public profiles on the channel, which is when I make my videos live, they only go out to a percentage of my subscribers. I'm at this moment in time sitting on about 23,000 subscribers, which is an awesome number, and I'm super happy that it's there, but not all of those people get them, and not all of those people watch them. It goes out to a small percentage, and then depending on the performance, it then goes out to more, and it's kind of this ripple effect, and it's all to do with the way that the search engine works and the way that the subscription system works. And this didn't used to be the case. This is something that's changed through their means, and I wasn't completely aware that it worked this way. And when somebody was explaining it, it does make a little bit of sense, but at the same time it's also very worrisome, because I know that there are people who have subscribed to the channel that want to see the videos, and if they're not getting informed, it's not their fault, it's YouTube's fault, because I can't change that. And this gives me the opportunity to take that, that bullshit and own it and push past it and make something of it so that we can guarantee that you see these videos as they go live. And the best way to do this, folks, is Twitter. And even with Twitter, it might be difficult, but I'm going to talk about something that's hopefully going to make it even better. So the first thing is, if you have any interest in learning about the channel, learning about what's behind the channel, listening to silly tweets, and being updated the moment the videos go live so that you can immediately go there and check them out if that's the kind of person you are, Twitter's the best place. And that's coming from somebody who hates social media almost exclusively. I am not a fan of it at all. I'm the guy who only accesses Facebook to use the private messaging service to my girlfriend. That is it. I use it for nothing else. I don't even have anything that's remotely close to my details on the damn page. My page looks like Terrorists Anonymous. It's just stupid. If the FBI read it, I'd probably be in Guantanamo Bay. And I'm the same kind of with Twitter. I don't follow anybody. So if you're on there and you want me to follow you, it's not going to happen. And it's not because I want to offend you or anything like that. It's just it's not what I use it for. I just don't. It's like a business Twitter for me that occasionally I make dick jokes on. Like, that's the distinction. But that is the best place to find me. And additionally, what I'm going to try and do is when I'm unlisting the video and I'm notifying the people who are using Google+, which is another service I fucking hate, but God bless the people that use it because they're braver than me, I'm going to try and link it to my Twitter so that it does that weird thing where it's like, this person has made this video live at hashtag blah 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 at blah 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 blah. Here's an embedded video. We're so awesome, twitter.com. Like, I'm going to try and do that for each of the videos. And it's going to spam the Twitter feed a little bit with that, which I'm not happy about. But if it guarantees that you get to see the video that you're waiting for, then it's win-win. You know, the inconvenience it does to me is insignificant. And that's hopefully going to get around the bullshit that we've been having. And hopefully we won't have any of those issues. Another way around it is the long game, which not a lot of people are willing to play, unfortunately. At that point, they probably moved on to another channel. Because we're all human, folks. You can't listen to the same thing for a very long time unless it's continuing to be interesting to you. And it's a very difficult thing to do. So, for the people who are playing the long game, wait until the series is done, and then the playlist will be up, it'll be available, and it will be from 1 to the end, all there for you in a convenient play-by-play system. And hopefully you don't get that bug on YouTube that I get, where every so often the video fucking goes all frazzling, it's like, error, something bad happened, and you have to get up and mess with it, which is incredibly frustrating, but there you go. But that's the channel update portion, so we're going to move on to the final portion here. I've gone a little bit long, but it's been a while since I've updated, and this is worth, you know, your time, hopefully, and if not, you can just turn the video off and do something else. Awesome. So games. Games are the big thing on my channel. My channel is about video games. It's about a lot of things, but games are the highlight. They're the part I enjoy the most, and they're the part I share. I could do movies, I could do books, I could do, you know, pornography, whatever you want to say, but I do games. And every so often we will dalliance into topics of the other, you know, subjects, but we focus on la video games, which is of course French. But games is what we do here. So far on the channel, I have a handful of series that are coming to a close. Some of them that have already closed, some of them are very close to closing, but I have a ton that aren't as well, so there's this interesting juxtaposition of things that are happening. I have a lot of kind of older games that I'm doing walkthroughs to, that I've started a little bit uploading, and then there's still more to come that you will be seeing interspersed with projects, and then I have more recent stuff which are coming to the end, and then we have the newer stuff that's starting. So I'm just going to do a quick run over of the current projects that are happening. So Bloodborne has just finished. Bloodborne playthrough is done. I can finally get some footage up there which shows me knowing what I'm doing, rather than the struggle fest and the rage and the silliness that was that playthrough. I'm very proud of that playthrough. I think it went really well. A lot of people have been giving me some great feedback. A lot of people got into the spirit of what it was. You're always going to get those people that are telling me how to play, that are saying I'm doing this wrong and I'm doing that wrong and I should do this and I should do that, because it's YouTube and that's kind of how people are trying to help, even though sometimes it can come across as a little bit, you know, assholey. But they don't mean it that way unless they're an asshole, and then hopefully, you know, they're in some toilet somewhere passing a turd. But Bloodborne is done. Hotline Miami is very close to being done. There's 2 more videos. Unfortunately, a couple of those videos don't have music on them. A couple of people are asking about it. I should really put a notification on the video itself just to clear that up, because it'll save me a lot of time in the future, because you'd be surprised how many times I get asked insane questions. Like, I'm still getting questions on my how to parry video on Metal Gear Rising about, like, what happens if there's an attack coming from the left? Like, do the same as you did from every other direction? Like, you'd be surprised anyway, folks. Bless them. But that one's finishing soon. We also have DMC that's just finished. A couple of those episodes were uploaded out of sequence. A couple of them kind of got lost to the mess of YouTube. So if you're interested in seeing the parts you've missed, all of that is up now in a playlist available for you. Another fun series that unfortunately got screwed by copyright flags. And That's something important that I need to address, and I'm going to do it quite quickly because I don't want to dwell. This year has been a focus on live playthroughs. The reason for this is it's something I haven't really done too much on YouTube, and a lot of people have asked for it. My content before this has been much more clinical, I would say more professional in a case of when you watch the video it gets exactly what it needs to do, and it's no nonsense anything else, it's to the point. And there's a lot of people that love that, but there's also a lot of people that don't, and they want to see the other side. And I'm trying to diversify the stuff I do, but it has to be said that the playthrough stuff it's easier to make, but it's harder to get on YouTube thanks to the differences when it comes to being copyright flagged and things. And I'm not a very big channel, guys, so I don't get protected like those channels do, so it can be a real tug of war with just semantical bullshit to get these videos live. And I'm a very passionate person when it comes to doing anything like this, especially something that I would perceive to be quite creative. And I'm the kind of guy, I respond a little bit like Quentin Tarantino did when the script for the Hateful Eight leaked. Like, fuck it, I want to pull it all down and burn it, you know, because it was here, it was beautiful, it could be anything I wanted it to be, and then something happened, it got messed up, and what's the point? I want to just get rid of it now. And I feel a little bit like that in some cases, obviously not as grandiose or as important, but a great example will be Hotline Miami 2. I love that game, it's a great game, and I loved that playthrough, I had a ton of fun. There was such good feedback for it, but it's taken me like 10 months to get it on YouTube because of bullshit. And bullshit that I can't control, and I have no control over how I fix it. And it's so frustrating. And then there's people coming on like, oh, why is this not like this? This is no good. It's like, do you realise how much it took to get it there? In that horrendous state that I'm not proud of at all, but it's the only thing I can do. Like, it kills everything about it. It takes the soul away from it, and I think that's really sad. And it happened with DMC. It happened once with Bloodborne, but for the most, whatever From have said with their content is awesome. They've done it really well, and I had no trouble. But everything else was just, you know, lubed me up and sent me to prison as a gift-wrapped anal savagery. Just not good at all. And I'm really afraid that The Witcher 3 is going to suffer the same way. As much as I think CDR Projekt are awesome, the YouTube algorithm isn't. So even if your company's pretty relaxed, publishers might be douchey, and YouTube is collectively douchey, so you never know how it's going to work. So I'm a little concerned about it because the production of a playthrough is much different to a walkthrough. I can make a walkthrough in 2 days. A playthrough does not take 2 days. A playthrough takes a lot longer. However, it's easier to do. And I'm going to say this with a little bit of a footnote, and I'm not going to go into this because we talk about this quite a lot, and I don't want to bother people that want to know the game's news, but when you make a walkthrough, there's no pressure, there's no live playing, you're in the comfort of playing, you can always re-record, you can always retry. It's almost clinically dishonest in its construction, and then once you've recorded it, you edit it, you commentate it, you render it, you're done. There's no wasting, there's no messing around, there's no abiding to a time limit, it's easy. Unless the game is hellish, and then it gets a little bit more awkward. Playthrough is different. Playthrough is awkward in the worst possible way, you know. You can be in a hot, stinky, bloody room, you can be all sweating like a paedophile in a playground, and you still have to do something that could be quite difficult, even though you've been playing for a while and you might be a little bit frustrated, or there's no hiding, you know, from the playthroughs that I make. And I make them that way because I think it's a complete contrast to my walkthroughs, whereas a lot of people edit playthroughs, but what's the point if I do that? Because then they just become less polished walkthroughs. So that's the reason why I leave everything in. I leave all the bullshit, all the rage, you know, all the bitching, all the bits that you like or you dislike are there to see. However, I can only record those at a certain time, and then I can't continue to work. Then I have to stop, and then it's really frustrating because I might want to get it done, or I might want to do this or this or this, and it becomes a completely different thing. And then, of course, it's a little bit more belated when it comes to all the other stuff, because a walkthrough for me, with the way I make them, everything is done when it comes to editing. So I have access to everything, so I can work as much as I want to, or as little as I want to get it made. You know, it's a choice. With a playthrough, I can't do that, so I'm limited to a lot of things, and it's that the two completely different disciplines, I would call them, if you were to give them that much respect, which not a lot of people do, unfortunately. But then there's the whole, will it get on YouTube? Will I have trouble? Whereas with a walkthrough, you don't have that, because you're not watching cutscenes, you're not having dialogue in, you're making the volume to quite a muted amount so that you can hear the game, but you can't really hear all of it, and it's more a focus on you, your voice, and the message that you're getting across, be it, this is how you beat this boss, or I saw this bird with 3 tits in this one film, and for some reason Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't there. You know, it's all about... it's just so different, and there's a part of me that wants to go back to walkthroughs and just stick to those and then have the Balls Deep series to do the fun stuff, because then it's not the end of the world if it gets flagged, because it's only one video and I haven't committed, you know, a couple of days to making something, because it's incredibly frustrating. But to kind of put a bow on this topic, at this point I would have liked to have the Hotline Miami 2 S rank, or whatever rank I'm going for, walkthrough online and recorded, but I can't do it because I'm still trying to get the playthrough to you, and my computer at this moment is so full of stuff that recording is just going to make it even more full, and I don't really want to do that at this point because I'm just getting more and more backlog of things. So, you know, I can't do that. There's a lot of restrictions because of the way that it works, but it's all a sacrifice and hopefully it'll go okay. But Wolfenstein is a game that's come out recently, and I still haven't downloaded it. It's downloading right now. It's going to take a while. There's going to be a walkthrough for that on the hardest difficulty. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I should be able to get it to you before Witcher 3. Bloodborne walkthrough is recorded up to ROM, and it's not gone the way I thought it would go, but I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I think it's going to be enjoyable for a lot of people. The commentary is going to have a mixture of the walkthrough stuff in it as well, because I do have the official guide to give you some of the statistics and some of the official names, so that should make it a little bit more authentic. And it's going to be a pseudo strength build. However, I don't go for the Kirk hammer, which I should have done, because I think you would have been able to capitalise on the scaling that I have earlier on. Instead, I end up going towards the stake driver, which is kind of a very slow bloomer when it comes to getting its damage potential. So some of the fights that I'm going to be showing you are not the destruction that they could have been if I'd have picked a different weapon, but I wanted to pick something that was, you know, more fun for myself. So there's going to be a lot of cases of, this is a good way to fight them, but if you had this weapon, you would have shit-stomped them in half the time. Like, that's what it's all going to be. So just a warning for that when it comes, guys. But anybody wondering, it's going to be a strength build. It's going to have base vitality, so I can disprove some of these theories that you can't play with anything other than fucking 30 vitality, because I just don't think that's true. And I'm not going to be healing. So in this walkthrough, I will not be using a blood vial outside of, I think, one occasion where I went to use an antidote and I pressed the wrong button. Or for situations where I need to do fall damage as well. If I've lost some life, I'll top myself up at that point, but for every single other situation, there is no healing outside of the riposte heal, which you get after you beat the Shadows of Yharnam. So it's going to be a walkthrough to help you get stuff done. It's going to be hopefully informative on bosses, on enemies, on strategies, on things that you might not have known, and then it's just going to be more Bloodborne for the people looking for that kind of content. But that's not going to be the end of that game, because unlike these people that have already moved on, they're already bored, that said there's no longevity to this game, I'm still hooked, I still love it, and I'm contemplating doing maybe another playthrough or another run kind of thing, but just know that there will be more of it, so get excited for that. Also, I did mention I was going to do a Bayonetta 2 playthrough with Rosa. That is still going to happen, but it's going to happen at some time when my hard drive's a little less full, because I still need to finish getting Final Fantasy X to you, Splinter Cell to you, Kingdom Hearts to you. You know, there's a lot of things that still need to get finished off, and I want to try and push those as best I can before these more recent things come out. Another thing as well, Mortal Kombat. A lot of people were asking me if I was covering it. At the time, I just didn't have any feeling or urge towards that game whatsoever. What a massive mistake that was. I can't even begin to tell you how sorry I am, guys. I don't know why I didn't have that feeling, I just didn't. And unfortunately, if I'm not digging it or I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to lie and I'm not going to fake it. I'm going to just do what I do. So I missed a massive opportunity for some great videos and for a really fun game. And you will see some Mortal Kombat footage, but of course it's going to be slightly late. So I apologise about that, but For what I've played from it and from what I've watched, I think it just looks fun. I think it just looks genuinely fun, and that is a great thing, and I wish I'd bought it, but I didn't, so yeah, my condolences about that one. And then the final thing is Witcher 3. A lot of people are asking me what I'm doing for Witcher 3. A lot of people might not be aware of my history with Witcher, so I'm just going to try and clear this up quickly as I can now, because this is going to be like an hour episode. How long have we gone? 39 minutes, not too bad, but still, 40 minutes of talking to yourself. I should be in an asylum. The Witcher series. So, I have played Witcher 1. I haven't beat it. It's on my PC. I got super busy and I forgot to go back. But I've played a ton of it. I really, really liked it. I think the combat on the first game is just the right side of awkward and just the right side of interesting to make it different. And I think all the stuff that makes it more complex than the second game is a lot of the stuff that makes it really, really interesting. And on my PC, I was running it at like 120 frames per second, all maxed out, and it was super nice and fun. And that is a great game. That is a fantastic game. If that was on a console, we would be doing a playthrough. But every time I try and capture it with fraps, it makes my computer sound so loud I can't commentate. So it's awkward as shit. But Witcher 2, if you don't know, I did a dark mode difficulty video walkthrough, and I had a lot of fun with it because I fell in love with The Witcher 2. It was the first Witcher game I played. I can't even get across how good that game is. If you've not played it, I recommend that you do. To me, it's the bridge between Dragon Age games and Elder Scrolls games, where there is a vastness to it, but it's not overwhelmingly vast. But at the same time, there's rich lore and there's depth, whereas it can appear to be quite simple in some areas and not quite as deep, but I think if you really try and you look, you can find a lot of the qualities that those games have. And I'm not going to pull your leg, the combat in it is not the best, it could be much better, but everything else is really, really interesting, and it has a much more mature angle on things, because if you've ever read the books, I've read I think 3 or 4 of them, the books themselves it's kind of dark fantasy, and every so often something happens. It's not quite Game of Thrones and political or anything well, it is political technically, but it's not, constantly dark. You're not going to get that Breaking Bad feeling with it, but it's still purposefully adult, and I like that, because fantasy has this stigma of being, childish and just a bunch of people dressing up in a park, which it's not. There's 2 sides to every story. They call it, the Dark Ages for a reason, and we have those awesome images of medieval knights and damsels and things, but when you think about it, these were just people who didn't bath, who killed people, who had all kinds of diseases that they didn't understand, and it was pretty grotty, dirty place, and that's what these games capture a little bit more, I find, and I really like that aspect of them. But Witcher 2, great game, got a walkthrough if you want to watch it, very fun. So that brings us to Witcher 3. I'm playing Witcher 3 on the Xbox One. Probably a bad choice, trust me, I know, that console just doesn't gel well with me, but I prefer the Xbox controller, and it also has my gamer tag and it allows me to get achievements, and I prefer achievements over trophies, so it's 100% preference, guys. I appreciate PC will be better, I appreciate PS4 will undoubtedly be better, but I'm playing it on Xbox One because it's just the choice I'm making. It is going to be a blind playthrough, which means I don't know anything about this game too much going in. I've seen a little bit of footage, but for the most, this game is so big and so vast, it doesn't really make a difference. Mechanically and systems wise, I know nothing. I know there'll be potions, I know there'll be some kind of meditation in it, I know that there'll be those passive essence powers around the world somehow, there'll be quests, there'll be upgrades, there'll be weapons, there'll be the signs, there'll be all that leveling and stuff like that. I'm hoping I can get a good grasp on it early, figure it out and not get too confused. If not, it's going to be a really interesting blind playthrough with people shouting at me, which kind of sucks, but it's how it works. It's also going to be on the hardest difficulty, which is a big thing, because if you've ever played Witcher 2 on the hardest difficulty, it's very tough. Witcher 1, not so much. I had a lot easier time with Witcher 1 for some reason. Witcher 2 though, when I was first playing and I was first learning to play, that game kicked my ass, that game beat me up a lot, and I felt that the combat was even worse than it actually is, because I just felt like whenever you stayed close to an enemy after one hit, you got melted for no reason. But now I've had that experience, I'm hoping that just that knowledge and that wisdom from that time with the first 2 games is going to help me walk into this one and understand this is how the combat works, there's no tanking, on this difficulty unless I have great armor and I'm over leveled. There's just no doing that. So instead, we're going to use our Witcher tools, we're going to find some cool strategies, we're going to see what works, see what's powerful, see what we can do, and we're just going to go from it from there. And I'm super excited because this is a long game, and I'm going to take it slow, guys, and it's not because I want to milk the project, it's not because of any silly reason like that, it's literally because I love the universe. I got so engrossed in the second game that I was reading stuff and I was just playing it for the sake of being there, which is a really, really interesting thing, and I've only really had that in Mass Effect 1. No other game has really grabbed me like that. Maybe Fallout 3, because Fallout 3 is just phenomenal, and so is New Vegas, but just that feeling of wanting to exist in a world that they've created is amazing, and I have really high hopes. But the final topic before I end this video, this massive tirade of me talking, is the Arkham Knight game by Rocksteady. They've released a trailer which I was going to share with you, but I got a bunch of trailers flagged and it's just not worth it, so I didn't. But I'm going to probably put a video up and discuss, because there's this feature called dual play in it, which I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll explain it shortly. At any point in the game, they haven't really stipulated if there's any restrictions on this, and I don't know how the balance is going to work, but at any point, when you're playing, you can tag out of who you're playing for somebody else. So you can be Batman, and suddenly you're Catwoman. You can be Catwoman, and suddenly you're Nightwing, so on and so forth. Immediately, this is amazing. And the reason it's amazing is because I love the animations on those games. Playing Batman is great, but we've played him in a few games now, so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, new animations, new moves, but you're still kind of Batman. And in those previous experiences, you could go into challenge maps and play as those other characters who had vastly different looking animations, and it just felt fresh and cool and interesting. But you could never take them anywhere else. You could never run around the city or whatever. You just had them in that isolated area, and that's all you could do. And I always wanted to just play as them, and now you can. And the cool thing that's really great is you can be doing an animation during combat where you tag out and you start the attack with one person, you swap to the other person, and they finish it. So there's also going to be this completely new dynamic of utilising all your team to get these combos working and make the combat even more interesting and even more fun to watch. So maybe it'll make, challenge videos worth making, because now we have a whole plethora of new moves to make it look stylish, rather than, oh, here's a guy who never drops his combo and uses all his gadgets. It's impressive, but it's dull to watch. And maybe that will, cross that barrier of, wow, this is really good. Maybe you'll have style videos for Batman. Can you imagine that? That would be amazing. But most importantly, it's going to enable us to play as these people who you might think are cooler or better to play as. I like how Nightwing looks. I think he looks beast. I like how, is it Azazel looks, or Azrael? I don't know his name, but the guy who is the mysterious stranger on City, he's the most badass looking dude in the game. I want to play as him. But just the ability to swap out to those other people, I think is amazing, and it's going to give it so much more, just on an aesthetic level, and then on a mechanical level of how the animations are different. And then combine how you can play as any of them, and potentially there's no limit on it, so you might be able to do the entire game as a different character. And as much as it's a Batman game, and I love me some Batman, I would love to beat the game as Robin. I think that'd be amazing, just using his skills. And if they make it so that they are very different from each other, it could be like a completely new game, And that to me, I'm sold. I'm making this funny noise and I don't know why. It's like halfway between a sigh and a trumpet, but still, really, really interesting. And I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. They also mentioned something else. They have a seamless world in Arkham Knight, so there's no loading between interior and exterior, which is really, really good. And they mentioned how they've optimized it so that it streams the content in such a way that the loading is just not there, which I wish they'd have asked. What about when you die? Because I don't know about your guys, but the whole dying is where most of the loading came from, and if you're playing it on normal, you're probably not going to die a lot. If you're playing it on hard, maybe you're not going to die a lot because you've played it a lot. If you're playing it on New Game Plus, maybe you'll die a little bit. But for instance, if you're going for a no damage run, and you get smacked and there's no restart checkpoint, you've got to die. So then you've got to see what these load times are like, and it'd be amazing if it just kind of, bats flew across the screen in a transition, and you were there and there was no loading. but I can almost guarantee that ain't going to be the case, because it has to load from a state, doesn't it? So that streaming must be godlike, who knows? What we do know for certain is this is going to be one of the fully fledged next generation titles, so I'm really interested to see what they've done, because I'm super excited. But between that and Witcher 3, we've got some really interesting months coming now, guys. I'm certain there's a million and one things I wanted to say that I've forgotten, but we've ran a little bit long, so thank you very much for watching, thank you for supporting. I hope you look forward to the future projects and what's going to be happening / changing, but as always, you take care now.